online via Zoom. As we come together for worship, we begin with a musical prelude offered by Scott Deveaux. Good morning. Welcome to the UU Congregation of Charlottesville. My name is Mary Beth Wiley. It's always good to be gathered together. And this morning, gathering together both online and here on Rugby Road. Our sanctuary was built over 70 years ago on the land that was the homeland of the Monacan people, and that was once cared for by the enslaved people from Africa and their descendants. We honor all who dwelt here and all in our congregation whose lives led to this moment of our gathering as a community of memory and hope. I invite us now to take a moment to greet others with us in worship this morning. Those online may unmute and say hello to one another. And those of us here in the sanctuary social hall are welcome to greet our neighbors, especially those we may not know.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see all your faces.
Hi, Laura. I have tried to come this morning, but I'm a little short of breath, and I don't know why. I decided to stay home.
Look, Reverend Tip's online.
Hi, Reverend Tim.
Hello. I'm actually homesick today.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Not COVID, just a cold. Yeah.
Just a cold often is worse.
Yeah.
We welcome those who are new to our congregation. and invite you to join us for fellowship after the service. If you use one of the red coffee mugs, we'll know that you're a newcomer and it helps us to greet you. We continue to ask everyone to keep your high quality N95 or KN95 mask in place, covering both your nose and your mouth. If you don't have a face mask with you in your, we do have extras available. When you're in the social hall, you may remove your mask while actively eating or drinking. We ask those not actively eating or drinking to please keep your masks on. We see the continued wearing of face masks while indoors as an act of kindness that keeps everyone, especially those most at risk, as safe as possible, while we continue to navigate life during the ongoing pandemic and the flu season. Hand sanitizer is provided in the pews, which we invite you to use as needed. In addition to the sanctuary, seating is available in the social hall where there's a live stream of the service. Everyone is welcome in the sanctuary, but if you need a roomier space, the social hall can be a good option. Please do whatever you need to feel comfortable as we worship together. Many thanks to all the folks helping us share worship both here and online. Our on-site greeters, ushers, and hospitality and logistics team, and special thanks to our AV technical team of Rachel Buckland and Sean Scally, supporting the dual platform worship both online and here on Rugby Road. Our thanks to musical director Scott Deveaux for sharing his musical gifts, and I'm pleased to be weaving this morning's service with Reverend Leia. Now here to greet you from your Board of Trustees is Bev Ryan.
Good morning. It's so good to be here with you on a nice sunny day. Spring is in the air, even though it's still really cold. There's a lot going on in our church, our congregation, and I thought I'd take this opportunity to put in a couple of announcements. Sorry. These are things that have spoken to me, and I just wanted to share and make sure that everybody else knew about them. The first is a presentation by UVA Lifetime Learning. It's a Zoom event, and it's called The Great Migration, 20th Century African American Migration and Why It Matters. It happens on February 16th from 3 to 4 in the afternoon. That is in the Friday email. If you want to take a look, you can find a link. The second thing is on March 28th at 7 p.m. at JPJ. It is both in-person and live stream available. It is called a lecture, Act Justly, Love Mercy, Exploring the Heart of Equal Justice. This is, we are actually a community partner in this presentation. It's a lecture by Brian Stevenson, who's been called one of the most inspiring and influential crusader for justice alive today. If you haven't heard him speak, he is wonderful, just wonderful. He's going to speak from his personal experience on the spiritual sources that empower his lifelong commitment to transformative acts of justice and mercy. And then following that will be an onstage conversation with UVA President Jim Ryan and Brian Stevenson. So please join. They're both on the website and they're both in the Friday email. Thank you.
Thank you, Bev. Here are our announcements this morning. Have you heard about the cottage conversations? Well, we're going to be having signups for cottage conversations to talk about what our congregation means to you and what you see as our shared purpose. So to sign up, you can either go to the church webpage, or there'll be a table in the social hall after service, and you can look for Pam McIntyre there. So please sign up. We want to hear from everyone. You are invited to visit the Adult Faith Development display in the social hall this morning, or visit the AFD page on our website to sign up for upcoming classes starting soon, including 2 kinds of yoga, Sean McCutcheon's Coming Together, How We Can Heal the Divide, our Sunday afternoon winter retreat, Reverend Tim's class on the spiritual wisdom of Howard Thurman, and more. There are lots of opportunities to grow your spirit. Today, after worship, you're invited to our monthly newcomers circle at 12:15. If you're new to the congregation or are curious and wanting to know more about UU Seville, join Kate Soderman and Christine Gresser in Summit House. That's the yellow house behind the social hall. They'll be in room 2. It's the first room on your right at 12:15. If you're not sure where it is, just ask one of us. And finally, next Sunday, February 12th, everyone is invited to come to church in your jammies. This is for our annual PJs and pancake service. PJs are, of course, optional, but are encouraged. Following worship, we'll share a pancake brunch in the social hall. We will also receive donations of fresh food items, fruits, vegetables, perishables, as well as cleaning supplies for those in our congregations whose budgets are tight. If you can bring in any of these items to share, thank you. If you would like to take some items home with you, please join others here on the chancel following worship next week to choose your items. Thus endeth our announcements.
Good morning, everyone. Let us center now for our time of worship together. Our call to worship this morning is by Reverend Kimberly Carlson. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community, a people who do not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to the possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and to share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship. And as Janine Braithwaite comes forward to light our chalice this morning, I invite you to please join me in the unison words. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. And now let's do our hand motions. Put your hand out flat like the matchbook and your finger is the match. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is a church of open minds. This is a church of helping hands. This is a church of loving hearts. I invite you now to please rise in body or spirit for our opening hymn, number 360, Here We Have Gathered.
have gathered side by side. Circle of kinship, come and step inside. May all who seek here find a kindly word. May all who speak here feel they have been heard. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Here we have gathered, called to celebrate days of our lifetime, matters small and great. We of all ages, living out our span, infants and sages, sharing what we can. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Life has its battles, sorrows and regrets, but in the shadows let us not forget. We now gather, know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us, as we give we gain. Sing now in friendship this our heart's own song.
And anyone who's feeling young at heart to come forward and join me up here at the front of the sanctuary. You can find your spot right here on the red rug. Anyone of any age is invited, but particularly our young people. Good morning, friends. It was good to see you all this morning. I'm so glad you all are here. Why don't you all scoot up just a little bit to make room for friends who are still arriving so that there's space for everybody on our carpet. All right. Well, it is February.
Yep.
And one of the things that we do this time of year is we think about things that we love and care about because of the upcoming holiday of
Valentine's Day.
That's right, Valentine's Day, absolutely. But what I want to make sure that we all remember is that there are all kinds of love in the world. So let's name what some of those kinds of love are. Noah, what do you think? Your mom, your dad, your parents, your two moms, the people that you live with in your house? Yeah, absolutely. Really? Your grandparents? Sure. Yeah.
Friends.
Your friends, absolutely, Anson.
Platonic.
Platonic, so explain what that means in case somebody doesn't know what that word means. You forget, yeah. So it's maybe when it's not like lovey-dovey with somebody, but you're just really good friends and you care a lot about them. Yeah, is that what you were thinking of? Yeah, yeah. Your dog, or your cat, or your fish, right? Yeah, love for our pets. Yeah, Niles.
We care about everybody that we know.
Offering love and care to everybody that we know. Yeah, yeah. We care about different types of love. Yeah, making sure that there's room to express lots of different types of love. Yeah.
When people marry each other, they love each other.
When people marry each other, they love each other. Yeah.
Loving your stuffed animals.
Loving your stuffed animals. Who loves their stuffed animals? Yeah, yeah. You guys are great at naming all kinds of love. Yeah, one more, Talmadge.
I forgot.
You forgot. If you remember, you can raise your hand again. Henry, what were you going to say?
Your grandpa and grandma.
Your grandpa and grandma. Absolutely. One more.
Brother and sister.
Your brother and sister. Yeah. Yeah. All kinds of love. All kinds of love. And there's even love for the people that you share a congregation with, the people that you come to church with. You can love them. You have to save that, Talmadge. You can. You remembered. Yeah. What did you want to share?
World.
The world. Yeah, love for the world. Oh, you guys are just full of good ideas about love, and I would bet you're full of love too. Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a kind of love that I want us to think about a little bit this morning, and that's the kind of love that's committed to making the world, as Talmage said, a better place. And I want to explore that with you a little bit this morning because I'm thinking about a particular person who is one of our ancestors who really worked hard to make the world a better place. And she did this because she had a fierce and feisty kind of love. Do you all know anybody who has a fierce and feisty kind of love? Yeah. Well, let's talk about what that means. What do I mean by fierce and feisty? So the person that I'm thinking of isn't alive anymore, but when she was something else. Her name was Malvina Reynolds. Anybody in here know about Malvina Reynolds? Oh, a few hands. Well, she was a Unitarian Universalist. So she is one of our ancestors, and Rachel is going to show us some photos of her. So here's a picture of Malvina when she was older, closer to when she was not going to be alive anymore. This is one of her final concerts, and she played the guitar. So that's one picture of her. And there she is as a mom with her daughter, and then with a musical friend that she did some singing with. And then the bottom picture on the right side, where she's holding her guitar, is when she was a guest on Sesame Street. Anybody here ever watch Sesame Street? Well, Malvina Reynolds used to be a guest sometimes, and they used the name Kate when she was on Sesame Street, but she would sing her songs on Sesame Street. And there at the top of this one is where she is eating ice cream. Does it look like she's having fun? Yeah. You like ice cream too? Yeah, I think a lot of us do like ice cream. And then there's a picture of her as a younger woman with her guitar. And then this big picture on the bottom is of the sanctuary of the Unitarian Universalist congregation in Berkeley, California, where she was a member and where she liked to sing with the congregation when she got a chance to do that. So Malvina was born in California in 1900, and she died in 1978. She liked to sing, and she liked to write her own music and her own songs, and she could play the guitar and the piano and even studied violin as a little girl. She paid attention to what was going on around her, and she learned from her parents to speak up and to work for change, because her parents had strong beliefs about how we all needed to work to make the world a free and fair place. So Malvina heard things growing up about how boys and girls weren't treated equally, and that girls didn't get a chance to grow up and maybe have some of the same careers as boys did when they grew up to be men. And she thought that that was wrong, and she used her songs to talk about changes that needed to happen. She sang about women's rights, she sang about caring for the environment, and she sang about people taking care of each other, and she sang about love of the earth. So other famous musicians began to hear about her, and they sort of poo-pooed her. Oh, she's not really a musician. She's not as good as we are. But Malvina didn't give up. She didn't listen to what they had to say, and she kept singing and sharing her songs. And soon people like Pete Seeger said, you know what? She's not so bad after all. I'm going to sing some of her songs. And they began to notice her music. She was a member of the Unitarian Universalist congregation in Berkeley, California, and she sang there, and she toured around the country and sang in other venues, and oftentimes in other churches. She really liked to sing in UU churches. And one of her favorite songs, a song that she loved to sing at her home church and in other UU churches, was about sharing love. But it wasn't just lovey-dovey kind of love. It was the love of friendship and connection and caring and sharing and working to make the world a better place. She liked thinking about love like you might think about having a magic penny. Anybody here ever had a magic penny? No, Noah's had a magic penny. So what she said is that love is something, if you give it away, you end up having more. It's just like a magic penny. If you hold it tight, you won't have any. But if you lend it and you spend it, you'll have so many, they'll roll all over the floor. So in honor of Malvina Reynolds, one of our UU ancestors, we're going to sing together her song, Magic Penny, and celebrate her fierce and feisty love, a love that helps make the world a better place. And then you all are going to go make some magic pennies that the rest of the congregation might want to be watching for later in the social hall. So Scott, will you please lead us in singing, and let's all rise together in body or in spirit. The words will be projected and we will sing together now.
So let's go through the melody first. Love is something if you give it away. Repeat with me. Love is something if you give it away. And you go, give it away, give it away. And then love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. Do it one more time. Here we go. Love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. It's just like a magic penny. Hold it tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, you'll have so many. They'll roll all over the floor. So love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. Undy's dandy and we like to use it, but love is better if you don't refuse it. It's a treasure and you'll never lose it unless you lock up your door. So love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. You end up having more. One more time. You end up having more.
So our children are going to go now to their classes to explore the values of love and courage as Unitarian Universalists. So let's sing them out now as they take their lamps to their classroom. Hymn number 414, As We Leave This Friendly Place.
As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every
You want to see who else
face.
needs one?
May
Maggie
the
needs one.
kindness which we learn light our hearts till we return. As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May the kindness which we learn light our hearts till we return.
Thank you, Scott. We've had the treat of getting to hear Scott practicing that song while we've been in the office this week. And I told him he's spreading the Christmas season just out long for all of us since it's from the Nutcracker, but it is quite a delight to hear him play. I'm going to invite us now into a time of centering and sharing. And I invite you to let yourself be held by the music we have just heard, the hymn we sang as our opening hymn, the lyrics we have just sung together, and move yourself into a quiet place, a spot in your heart, quieting your mind and your body, and noticing your breath as it moves in and out and in and out. And let the love present here in this time and in this space, wherever you may be, let it wrap around you like a soft blanket. And let us hold a moment of peace and ease together. We are an interconnected community that cares for one another. And part of how we embody this care is by making time to share the joys and the sorrows that we hold in our hearts. I'm going to ring a chime now for all of these joys and sorrows that have been spoken aloud, but also for those that remain unspoken, but held in the sanctuary of our hearts. Amen. Go ahead.
This community offers its love and support to what is closest in our hearts. Another way we show our care for one another is in sharing our financial gifts with our community and our congregation. Our social action collection for the month of February is the African American Teaching Fellows. Rachel, would you please share with us now the message we received from Tamara Wilkerson Dias, the Executive Director of AATF.
Greetings, I am Dr. Tamara Wilkerson Dias, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the Executive Director of the African American Teaching Fellows. We are always excited to share with you all, especially because this congregation has had such a huge impact in the success and ongoing impact of AATF in our community. AATF has been around now for 19 years. We are a grassroots organization that was started by the people in this very community. People who looked around and said, teaching faculty deserve to be just as diverse as the students in this community who attend local public schools. Locally, less than 10% of our teaching faculty in public schools identify as African American, while well over 30% of our students identify as African American. Not only does this mean that a child can go from kindergarten through high school graduation never having an African American teacher, this also means that all students are robbed of the opportunity to learn from a diverse teaching force. This means that they'll miss out on meaningful interactions and opportunities to grow and expand their horizons. At AATF, we change this by doing three major things. First, we provide scholarships to aspiring African American educators. Knowing that finances can be a huge barrier into entering the teaching force, we try to remove that. Second, we provide professional learning. Whether a fellow is in their first year of their teacher education program or a teacher that's been in the classroom for 5 to 10 years, we provide dedicated professional development that meets them right where they are and supports their current challenges that they are facing as either a student or a teacher. And third, we provide them with a community and mentoring. I'm sure you can think back to the very first job that you had. How awesome would it have been to automatically have a community of people who were experienced in your field to give you support and advice and to welcome you into your career? We do that for our fellows. They're paired with local mentors who are successful veterans in the teaching force, and they get to connect with existing fellows who have been in the classroom some as long as 15 years. We are so thankful that we've been able to make the impact that we have in these 19 years, supporting well over 60 educators in gaining their teaching license and entering into the teaching force. We hope that you support our work here, not just today, but beyond. In order to sustain this mission and to keep it going, it takes the support of community members like you to say that you believe in this mission and that you champion what we do. Thank you so much. And for more information and to stay tuned with what we're doing, check out our website at www.aatf.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dias. It's a wonderful organization, so if you haven't learned about it, I encourage you to do so. Rachel, will you please show us the social action slide for giving? In addition to giving online, if you would like to give today with cash or check, please use the social action collection envelopes in the sanctuary and place your offering in the collection plate. Please do not seal the envelopes as we reuse them. In addition to our social action collection, each week we invite everyone into the spiritual practice of generosity by giving to the ministry of our congregation. Through your pledges and with the weekly Sunday morning offering, together our financial gifts and support build the future of our congregation. This is our shared ministry. During the music that follows, you may choose to make your Sunday morning offering by using the text address or going to our website. Here in the sanctuary, you may bring cash or checks forward. You are all invited to share not only your financial gifts, but also the joys and sorrows in your hearts. Those online may put them in the chat box, and those of you in the sanctuary may come forward to place a stone in the water. You may also leave us a note on the joy and sorrow paper provided here. And let us dedicate all of the many gifts we share with one another by saying, "We accept your gifts with gratitude. May we use them wisely for the highest good."
I invite you to please remain seated as we join our voices now in our meditation hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire, and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess, and striving so my love profess, but be not gained by love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control. Our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are free.
The words of our meditation hymn have a lovely message for us as we turn our attention from January's ministry theme of the path of centering to February's theme, the path of love. As we explored with our children earlier in our service, there are so many kinds of love between family members, biological and chosen, love of friends, love of animal companions, love of the natural world that surrounds us, and so much more. And there is a larger love, perhaps another way of naming spirit, or mystery, or God, or something even beyond naming and understanding, that I believe holds us all and never lets us go. It is important as we move through the season of Valentine's to remember the truth that there are all kinds of love, and that love is expressed in a myriad of ways. Let us not be limited to or constrained by the commercialized and consumeristic messages of what love is or isn't that bombard us from every direction, especially this time of year. Instead, let us remember a deeper meaning of love, a love that we place at the center, at our center, that we use to guide us in our choices and our actions. Last Sunday was the beginning of our process here at UUCville to explore our congregation's stated mission and purpose. Our current mission statement was written and adopted many years ago. It was crafted with care and has served us well. And we are, in many ways, a different congregation than we were when this particular statement was adopted. Part of being a living faith tradition is that we take seriously our commitment to our ongoing growth and change and new understandings and transformation as individuals and as a people. This is part of why we come together each week, to be helped and inspired by one another so that we can continue to grow and to change and evolve and to be transformed. And we live in a constantly changing world. We know that, as Maya Angelou put so beautifully, you do the best you can until you know better. And then when you know better, you do better. Growth begets change. We understand things now that we didn't, or we understand them differently than we did when our current mission statement was created. I want to be clear that there isn't anything inherently wrong with our current mission statement. It is that a living tradition, articulating our mission and purpose, isn't a once and done kind of thing. What we need is for all of us who are engaged with our congregation now to make sure that we have a guiding statement that, with thanks to our history and the people who worked so hard to get us to where we are today, reflects who we are now as a congregation and who we aspire to be. We need an articulated shared purpose that unifies and energizes us and that we feel connected to. Board members Pam McIntyre and Chris Little and Reverend Tim shared some thoughts during worship last week about the important mission purpose work that we are undertaking this winter. And if you missed last Sunday's service, I hope you'll find it on our YouTube channel and watch it when it's posted. And please do sign up to participate in the cottage conversations taking place in the coming weeks, so that you can hear your fellow congregants' ideas of who we are and who we want to be. And we need you to share your thoughts and your longings too. As we engage in our mission purpose work here at UUCville, there are similar efforts underway in our denomination on the national level. This effort is primarily about what we know as our UU principles and purposes. For those of you in the sanctuary this morning who aren't sure what these are, you can find them in the front of the gray hymnal. We also have them framed over our membership book. The language preceding the principles and purposes says, "We affirm and promote," which is different from a creed, as we are not requiring a profession of faith or a belief, but more of an affirmation of shared understandings and values. The principles and purposes serve as inspiration and grounding for the work of the Unitarian Universalist Association, its member congregations, and for many of us as UUs. They connect member congregations to each other and to a larger UU identity, and they have done so for the past 38 years. The purposes and principles were last substantially revised in 1985 at the UUA's Annual General Assembly. Many of you have heard me talk about the principles and the purposes and how foundational they are in helping all of us, children and youth and adults, be able to articulate who we are as UUs and the values that we hold in common. The UU congregation that raised me in Lubbock, Texas, and its loving people were instrumental in shaping who I am today. Growing up, it was hard to explain to other people, especially other kids, what it meant to be a UU. I can remember trying to articulate what it meant by saying things like, well, we don't have to dress up for church. In fact, we can wear our pajamas to church and nobody would care. Now remember, I grew up in conservative West Texas, where dressing up for church was what my peers and their families did. Heck, dressing up for a trip to the grocery store was expected. And you can wear your jammies to church if you want to, just saying, anytime, but especially next Sunday, when we're all encouraged as we have our annual PJs and pancake service that Mary Beth told you about in our announcements. Sometimes it can be difficult to articulate what it means to be a UU. People of all ages say things like, I'm a UU, so I can believe anything I want, which actually isn't true. We do have shared understandings about things of ultimate importance and a theological grounding as a faith tradition in the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We can't each just believe anything we want, especially during times when hate and misinformation are the cause of so much suffering and injustice. This is why, or part of why, I appreciate having our principles and purposes as a way to help us all have common words to share about what we value and what guides us as we continue to grow as a people of faith. Adapting our principles to the rainbow chalice for our children has been fun and a meaningful mnemonic device for young and old alike. And yet, I've shared with you in the past that our 7 principles, as currently written, are missing something. We've explored together the idea of a proposed 8th principle, adopted by other UU congregations and affiliate organizations, that calls us to build a diverse and multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institutions. Now, I want to be clear that the work of the 8th Principle Project is separate and different from the work of the Article 2 Study Commission that was charged by the UUA Board in 2020 to review the UUA's Article 2 bylaws. The Article 2 Commission's final report has just been released, and I want to share a bit of it with you because, like our own congregation's mission and purpose, the recommendations of the Commission are important. The Commission was charged to propose any revision that will enable our UUA, our congregations, and our covenanted communities to be a relevant and powerful force for spiritual and moral growth, healing, and justice. Proposed changes would articulate core UU theological values. The board believes that one core theological value shared widely among UUs is love. Following a large study on Unitarian Universalism in a report entitled Engaging Our Theological Diversity, we learned that Unitarian Universalists place a high value on love. The kind of love that Dr. Cornel West invokes when he says, justice is what love looks like in public. Part of the charge in the Article 2 Commission states, we therefore charge the Commission to root its work in love as a principal guide in its work, attending particularly to the ways that we and our rooted traditions have understood and articulated love and how we have acted out of love. So some good people, some committed UU kin, went to work on this task on all of our behalf. They have been meeting and working and creating resources and engaging UUs around the country in reflection and conversation over the last 2 years. And just last month, they issued their report, which is available to all of us on the UUA website. The report explains the Commission's charge, the bios of the Commission's members, explains their process and their timeline, and more. And I really encourage you to read it. It is very readable. It offers a proposed revision to Article 2, the part of the UUA bylaws that has our purposes and principles. Here is some of what it says. The purpose of the Unitarian Universalist Association is to actively engage its members in the transformation of the world through liberating love. It goes on to say, as Unitarian Universalists, we covenant, congregation to congregation, and through our association, to support and assist one another in our ministries. We draw from our heritages of freedom, reason, hope, and courage, building on the foundation of love. Love is the power that holds us together and is the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. End quote. The report then offers the following image, which has been called the values flower. The 6 values named that spiral out from the centered chalice and letters LOVE are interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, and justice. In paragraph form, the report lists each of these values and then language around how we covenant with each other around each value. I'll share 2 of the examples here this morning and invite you to explore all 6 of them in the report yourself. And there is a copy of the report in the social hall that you can look at after worship today. And as I said, it's available for anybody to see online on the UUA website. So let's look at interdependence. The value is stated, interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence. And then it says, we covenant to cherish earth and all beings by creating and nurturing relationships with care and respect. With humility and reverence, we acknowledge our place in the great web of life, and we work to repair harm and damaged relationships. Now let's look at justice. The value is stated justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where we all thrive. And then we covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of inclusive democratic processes to make decisions. The 4 other values identified in the Commission's report are also described and then followed by a statement of covenant. The Commission's work is powerful. It's centered in love, and it looks and sounds different in many ways from our current 7 principles and 6 sources. Yet you may have noticed there is familiarity too. Does this new graphic and language perfectly capture who we are or who we aspire to be? No, it doesn't. And perhaps that isn't possible or even necessary. But it does give us opportunities to engage with each other and our sibling UUs across the country around what matters most to us as Unitarian Universalists and how we want to express these values to ourselves and to the wider world. The Commission included in their report the acknowledgement that no matter what they created, they knew there would be things that people had wished had been added, things that people don't like, and things that people appreciate. They write, what we tried and what we think we succeeded in doing was to create an Article 2 that articulated our faith today and in the near future. So what happens now? Well, the UUA board has received and shared the report, and conversations are happening in congregations and professional organizations and in UU regions and in clusters. And delegates from UU congregations, including ours, will have the opportunity to attend mini assemblies at our denomination's annual General Assembly in June in Pittsburgh. These proposed amendments will be placed on the General Assembly agenda for consideration. The final version of Article 2, as amended by the UUA Board of Trustees and/or this year's 2023 General Assembly, must receive a simple majority vote to move forward for a final vote at next year's 2024 General Assembly. It will take a 2/3 majority vote at the 2024 General Assembly to adopt a new Article 2 in the UUA bylaws. And if either of these votes fail, a similar proposal cannot be considered for 2 years. So if this really interests you and excites you, and you would like to attend General Assembly, or GA as it is called, and be one of our congregation's delegates, please reach out to Board President Pam McIntyre and let her know. Also, anyone can register and attend GA as a non-delegate. For all of us, now is our time to reflect on what has been recommended, to try it on, to see how it fits, to notice where it challenges us, and where love calls us boldly to go. For as we're reminded both in word and action, love is at the center. Reverend Tim said in his sermon last week that at the heart of all of this is a deep connection to love, a love that is universal and unconditional, a love that is gentle and caring, a love that is joyful and fun, a love that welcomes and celebrates all people and transcends all that divides the human family into us and them and friend and enemy until we are all saved. I believe that the love that is at the heart of Unitarian Universalism, he says, and that it can save lives and transform the world. And to this I say, yes, and amen. And I'm wondering, can I get an amen? For as we sang together in our meditation hymn, our words matter little if they're not paired by actions grounded and centered in love. So let us pay attention to what is happening denominationally, and let us organize ourselves here at UUCville around our shared mission and purpose. Let us vision and dream together who we want to be with each other and what our purpose is in the wider community and in the world. What are we, as the UU congregation of Charlottesville, uniquely positioned to do? Let us, together, boldly answer the call of love and place it at the center. Let love be our guide as we live our deepest values alongside each other and join in the work to help heal our wonderful, messy, broken, beautiful, heartbreaking world. May we be emboldened by faith so that we dare to proclaim that we, the Unitarian Universalists of Charlottesville, are answering the call of love every day in our words and in our deeds. Amen, and blessed be. I invite you now to please rise in body or spirit and sing in raucous enthusiasm our closing hymn, Answering the Call of Love.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, love, and hope abide, and so every soul is blessed and made whole, but truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love, hands joined together and hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, adopted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love, hands joined together and hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide, and opens of grace in every embrace, and filling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love, hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
Forth from this time and place, taking with us a deepening sense of meaning and purpose for ourselves and for our congregation. May we heed the call of love and answer it with courage and strength. Let us support the weak, offer kindness everywhere, confront evil and injustice, and sow the seeds of peace in our own hearts and in the wider world. May faith embolden us to share and shine our light and our love unceasingly. Go in peace and love. Amen.